Hey,
Take
you.
it away,
Hey,
Chris.
you. Come on, sit down. You're sitting at the grown-ups table. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella, and as always, my partner in crime.
John
Thank
Jacobs.
you very much for everybody joining us, and a happy Wednesday to everybody. Today's episode, we're really excited for this one. Both me and John are horror movie fans. We like horror movie fans. Whether it's a good movie, bad movie, whatever. We like talking about it. We like the idea of scares, and that's why this show we're going to be talking about the Conjuring Trilogy. Before we go any further, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe it. It'll be on. We put up our YouTube episodes every Thursday, but we're always live on Facebook 7 o'clock every Wednesday. So let's get right down to it. The Conjuring. So The Conjuring is this film kind of changed up the game. They changed the game for haunted house movies when it first came out, because there wasn't really a lot of decent haunted house movies up until this point. I mean, because I feel like the 90s they started whittling off, and then they started worrying about individual slashers. So it was very interesting when this movie came out. It kind of changed the game for itself. I mean, John, what was your first experience when watching the first one, especially?
I'll be honest, I can't remember if I even saw it in the theater or if we watched it at home. But I do remember when I first saw it, I did appreciate kind of the reinvention of the haunted house, subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to discuss this and just stay on the movie, which I promised I would, so I will. It was interesting that it was really more of like possession and exorcism stuff, and the haunted house ended up just being like a piece of that, like a component of that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty creative and crafty how they did that. And it did kind of pull me into the franchise because I don't believe ghosts and demons are real and whatnot. So it's always fun for me to watch those movies and see how they're interpreted on film, because that's where I enjoy them. It's the make-believe, it's the entertainment piece that I enjoy from it. So, some of those type of movies I'm just like, but when I saw The Conjuring, I was like, wow, they really tried something here. And I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, but what really pulled me in was the style of filmmaking and the particular actors they chose, because everybody who knows me knows I'm like a huge Patrick Wilson fan. I celebrate the man's entire catalog. Even if he's in a bad film, I feel like he holds it up. And I love him. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's a gift. He's one of the best ones we have right now. The man should be working more than he is. And then it's also got Vera. How do you pronounce her name? It was Farmiga, yeah. Which she was in Bates Motel. And I mean, I loved Bates Motel, and I didn't think I would, because I love Psycho so much. And I'm just like, oh, this is just going to piss me off. And look, that whole season about drug dealers really did piss me off, because it had nothing to do with anything. But overall, I thought Bates Motel was great. And that's because she did such a good job. So when you take her and Patrick Wilson and you get them together, my God, that was like beautiful in terms of their acting ability, how they acted together, believability, all of that. It was fantastic. And especially them playing these well-known demonologists, I believe is the correct term.
Yeah.
Which, have, there's tons and tons on this couple and this family that did this for decades. They were even involved with like Amityville and stuff like that. They did media tours, they wrote books, all this stuff. So they were well known in that, in that kind of group. And so I thought it was cool that we have a haunted house concept that ended up not being a haunted house, that was kind of different because it blended a lot of different things together, but it was filmed in a way to where it was intense a lot, even though there was nothing really new brought to the table. That intensity and the lighting and the way it was filmed, the way it was framed, the way they acted, that made it new, because that level of grounding, I mean, we've seen it before, but in my opinion, it did it pretty well in The Conjuring, and that pulled me in. I was like, yeah, it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that, and I was excited that they were going to do more with it, because I feel like we kind of needed a new idea, a new franchise, and, we've done a little bit over here, and some over here. So now I was like, let's take all that and combine it into one. And I ultimately ended up really enjoying the first film. I really did.
Yeah, no, it definitely the first film franchise. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about that film, because that film to me was such a heavy hitter in what it was. I mean, the first film. Here, I'll put it up. So I have everything grouped off for what it was. The Perron family. The Perron family move into this place that obviously is haunted by a witch's ghost. And the interesting concept that this witch ghost, or what you may call it, it wasn't attached to the house. It starts at the house, but it would stick to a family, which I was like, ooh, that's very interesting. And I really enjoyed that kind of a new spin on, because I haven't seen that spin in a while. But these scenes were crazy. The practical effects were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pull up this one image I want to show off, because I think this was probably some of the coolest stuff I've seen in the movie. So give me 1 second. I want to make sure I pull it up correctly. Here we go. There we go. That's it. Like, this scene is amazing. They're in the basement. He's doing an exorcism. He's not supposed to be doing an exorcism, but they don't have a choice. And this scene where the chair flips upside down and then it's sitting upright on the ceiling.
Yeah, that was cool.
And this woman, the actress that played her, I'm blanking so hard on her name. She's known for so many great horror movies. Give me 1 sec. She's a phenomenal actress. I mean, look, I get the Oscars. Yeah, great.
Go ahead and look that up. And while you look that up, let me just say that my man, Peter Gibbons, a.k.a. Ron Livingston, absolutely holds it down as the dad in this movie, because, he's skeptical at first, and then he sees the shit happen. And when he sees it happen, there's nothing after that. He's just like, okay, got it. And it's like problem-solving time from that point forward. So just want to give a shout-out to Ron. Absolutely loved him in this film. He should be working more, too. He's a great actor.
No, he is. And like, Lily Taylor's her name. She's a phenomenal actress.
I don't know why that escapes me as well.
I don't know.
There's so many actors that I'm like, why do I forget this one's name all the time?
But she could go on a dive from wanting to stab her child to death to all of a sudden, this is who I love. And like, to me, that is intense acting. And it flipped so fast. Like, most actresses I see that win the Oscars, it's for, and I know this might be offensive to some, a one-track performance. Are you sad the whole movie? Are you happy the whole movie? Or this, that?
Good point. Good point.
And they played their role incredibly well. But to see this woman just go from zit to dit on a die within a couple of seconds, it's scary, because then when she's holding her child, and she's like, oh, you're amazing, I love you. I don't know. Could she kill him right then and there? Thank you very much, Michael.
Thanks,
really
Michael.
Good. Yeah, but yeah, you don't know. You don't know, and that's what's amazing. But to talk a little bit more about this film, the one thing I did like is this was a time where I felt like the protagonists were going after the monsters more than the monsters were going after the people. That's another thing that was very rare about this movie in the time it came out. I would go as far back as last time I kind of saw this sort of activity was Ghostbusters.
But I think I'm not saying it's like this, but in concept wise, I'm glad you brought that up, because I too really liked it for that reason. It was, and I want to get a little more deep into this here, but it kind of reminded me of why I at first really enjoyed Walking Dead. I fell way out of Walking Dead when it just got so boring that I didn't care anymore. But those first like 3 seasons, man, and the great thing about that was that it wasn't about the zombies. It was about the people and the breakdown of society, and how do we either get back, or do we all kill each other, or what the hell's going to happen?
Exactly.
I enjoyed that. And I felt like, and I feel like in all 3 Conjuring films, because we're just talking main trilogy this episode, but in all 3 of those films, that is very prevalent through the whole thing, that it's more about whatever family they're helping out, whatever 5 subplots they have going on at once that don't seem to get plugged. And then you have the husband and wife, Ed and Lorraine, and their story. And all of that is happening while this main haunted house demon possession thing is happening. And I thought that was really cool because it allows you to focus on characters that you might not focus on because you're so distracted with the monster or the ghost or the zombie or the demon, whatever it is. You get distracted a lot by that. Like Exorcist. That movie is so distracting because the focal point is on the demon and Reagan being possessed and what crazy shit that demon's going to do. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying there's a focus on that. So you lose out on how the family's doing and how the church is doing. And in this, it's opposite. And I enjoyed it. Allowed me to enjoy that more. Go ahead.
Here's a quick little plug I want to give you. And it's everybody, watch the Exorcism director's cut.
You mean The Exorcist director's cut?
I watched it.
Yeah, I've watched it. I don't need to watch it ever again because I don't watch that movie anymore. But yeah, I've seen
I think the director's cut was good because I think it didn't completely fix the issues you had, but it fixed some of them. Like it put it back on the one father who was, doubting his faith, and he would have to perform an exorcism. So I felt like that was nice, but I don't want to get too much into that. So that's
a different episode altogether. We can rant about The Exorcist for an hour and those horrible sequels, but let's get back to The Conjuring.
So with this movie, just to give a recap to everybody, so spoiler alerts occur.
Spoilers.
What appears to be the Brady Bunch, with the amount of kids they have, move into a haunted house.
Right. They got like 5 kids.
Yeah, they have 5 kids. Apparently, condoms did not exist, I guess, in this universe.
Well, I mean, this is what, mid-70s, I think it took place? Something around that time. Yeah, so, people are a little loose back then,
They populated like Catholic rabbits. That's all we need to say, okay? So,
that's the comment of the episode right there. They repopulated by Catholic rabbits. Jesse, I'm going to let you take that and make a joke about that. So, yep, you got it, Michael. Yep. So I'll let you have that one, Jesse. You turned that one into a joke. That was great.
Thank you. But it's like, but that's what they would do.
That's what they would do.
Dude, there's no I didn't see a TV that whole movie. I didn't see a radio. The radio kind of worked.
What does this family do?
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he truck drives, he comes back, he humps and leaves. I mean, I don't know.
Hump and leave, man.
Hump and leave. But okay, so they move into this house. They think it's gonna be a great new beginning. Shocker. There was a woman who was a witch who hung herself in the backyard, and it's cursed the house, and it's cursing any family that lives there. And even if you move away, it's going to follow you anyways. Because apparently in the Conjuring universe, and this is a known factor in the whole thing, ghosts are dicks because they always hit people on their way down. Like in this movie, they were going through adjustment periods. So it's like, fuck you, and make you feel bad about yourself. And then the second movie, it got personal. They're like, ooh, this family got divorced. I'm in.
Yeah, right. Oh, your dad left? Time to fucking haunt the shit out of you. Like, wait, fuck you, man. My dad just left. Now you want to pull this shit? What the hell?
Yeah. And then the next movie, like, we'll hold back. But the point is, ghosts are dicks in this movie. All right, that's all you need to know. And this one's like, I hate that they're have happy kids. I want to kill this kid to give it up to Satan. And obviously that's what Ed and Lorraine jump in. Now, Ed and Lorraine, let's talk about them real quick before we go back into this movie.
So we're gonna pause the first film and we're gonna talk about Ed and Lorraine now.
Yes, because I feel like talking about
in the context of the movies or real life, because they're totally different.
We're going to talk about the movies.
We'll stay on the movie. I promised to be good. I told everybody I would. So
you can go off because
we'll see what happens naturally. But I promised I would behave. So
anyway, I mean, this is a whole merit. I mean, they're on the payroll with the Catholic Church. They abandon their child at every turn.
In a house with creepy shit, they could like possess her and whatnot.
They have relationship goals. Goals, not much. Because here's my problem with them. In this first movie, like at one point, Annabelle gets loose in the house, and they're like, right.
Like, I think Patrick Wilson might have actually made that sound at one point, for a reaction.
Like that's all we got. And then the second movie, they're like, oh, we're gonna go to England Christmas time. You think maybe they could have brought the grandmother and the kid, put them up in a fancy hotel while they work? And don't say they can't afford it. They got Catholic Church money.
Oh, they have an endless supply. They have that whole hoard of cash that they sit on at the Vatican. So there.
So it's like they're having fun. There was times where I thought when they were playing the guitar for the kids that were, whose parents left. I
remember that.
I was like waiting for Lorraine just to be like, Ed, I can't wait till we have kids. It's like, don't forget the fact.
It's like Meg Griffin, man. You just forget about the one that you already have.
And then in the third movie, here's the worst part. Okay, so I'm going to jump real
Was she
quickly.
only in like one scene in the entire? I just watched the movie, and I think she was only in one scene.
She was in one scene, but I'm going to quickly jump to the spinoff real fast just to drive home my point.
Okay, I thought we were avoiding that.
Just to drive. No, it's not. But we're not talking about the sequel. We're talking about the parenting.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, fair enough.
Gets loose in the house, right? And it's horrible. It's bad. And then what happens at the end of the movie? Ed just gets down on one knee and goes, "Fuck around and see what happens." Now, let's play guitar, kids. And he plays guitar again. But so my point is, like, they're demonologists, excellent. Relationship goals, absolutely. They're adorable. Parenting,
not so much, because I feel like if they lost that one, they'd just try to have another one.
Yeah.
But maybe someone blanks. They're old now. Ed's breaking down, Yeah, Lorraine's always freaking out, having like acid trips and whatnot. So, we'll see what happens.
We're going to see what happens. But let's go back to the first movie. I wanted to set the context to how amazing they are to these kids and how Judy just seems to not catch a break.
That you're absolutely correct. You're right, because they go to live with the family in England in the second one. Like, how many weeks or months did they stay there while their kid was across the pond? Absolutely. And then the third movie, I think they got tired of explaining why they went on these big, long, vast travels. So they conveniently set everything within the bubble of where their actual house was, where they lived. And I was like, okay, well, it looks like we're fixing that being absent problem. But, oh, wait, nope, we still are doing nothing with the daughter. So
I love when that fucking witch breaks into their house. I didn't see Ed check Judy's bedroom once.
Oh, yeah, it was his bedroom, his office, the living room, and then it was the flower pot. It was hidden in there with the dead flowers. Like, where the fuck's E.T. when you need him? He could have fixed that shit immediately. And then we wouldn't even had an ending. So there we go.
There you go. But we'll talk about the third movie. But anyway, so this movie, like I said, I like the first one. It's groundbreaking. It started a horror cinematic universe that
it did.
hasn't existed since the 30s. It hasn't existed since the 30s. Okay.
I mean, look, we could probably make an argument that Saw fits into that, even though it's not a haunted house style. It's still a horror film that spanned an entire universe with a convoluted plot and all of that. So, I mean, I think that kind of goes with it.
I love that the whole way through.
It's not one story that completely unravels through 8 films like that was, but it's still a whole universe, and The Conjuring is a whole universe.
But it's not like how The Conjuring has its own spin-offs.
Yes, that is correct. Conjuring did it right. They knew how to make money. They knew how to bring people in the theater. They're like, hey, let's just going to create a universe, and that way we can keep making films.
Exactly.
Fast and Furious.
Granted, Saw just had its first spin-off with Spiral. Again, another James Wan creation as well.
I still haven't watched that, so do not spoil that for me. I'm going to try to watch it this weekend, actually.
But so anyways, I'm talking about, like, you used to see the monsters, Frankenstein, werewolf, Dracula, they would appear in the same movies together. Like, something iconic as that. One could argue that Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, elements of those were in one movie together. If you watch Jason Goes to Hell, the glove pulls Jason's mask down into hell, but also it's the Necronomicon appears in there, and it's a Kandarian dagger that kills Jason in that movie.
Yeah, but there were. I apologize. I forget it off the top of my head. If somebody knows it, please comment, or if you're watching this on YouTube, put a comment there. There is a specific explanation for why those certain pieces were actually in the film. I forget why, because I'm having a brain lapse right now.
It's more for directors because they love each other.
But I think that might be right. But I seem to remember there was something more to it than that. I could be wrong, but I think there is. So if somebody knows, let us know. But I want to get back to the whole franchise thing, because that's...
Yep, he's right. Yep, he's right. He's right about that. Don't forget about Swayze's too for the non.
Oh shit! No, dude. No, absolutely, Swayze, absolutely. Okay, so we have Patrick Swayze as a ghost, and we have I'm sorry that Chris and Chuck really cut me off guard with the ghosts, but Casper is an asshole. Go watch that movie again with Christina Ricci. I tell you what, Kathleen Turner's not the villain. Watch that movie again. It's all about Casper wanting to get laid since he died before he got his penis touched. If you don't believe me, watch the film again. It's about Casper getting laid. I'm not even joking. Patrick Swayze, I mean, shit. That man fought like humans as a ghost and then went to heaven instead of like staying there with his woman or whatever. So making the ultimate sacrifice. But anyways, back to Conjuring franchise is yes. And, you know, in the beginning, I didn't really think that was going to happen, but I was happy as that evolved, because I really liked the practical effects and the grounded approach they took, especially that one scene where the daughter's getting dragged around the living room. You can actually see her hair like up and crimped, like someone's pulling it, and she's getting all jacked around. She's moving around, and they literally get the scissors out and cut her hair off to like get, you know, to get her away from that. And while that's, you know, just one scene out of a 2-hour film, that really hit home for me, because I'm like, this is what I want to see. Like, this is so absent in filmmaking. And look, I'm not anti-CG. I support any method of filmmaking, because in my opinion, I'm not being objective, my opinion is that do what you got to do to make your film. If that means you can do practical effects, great. If that means you got to use CG, great. Just make your film. Like, stop worrying about, all people don't want this, people want this. Just make the film you want to make the way you make it, because you feel that's the best way to make it. So I don't shit on films that are all practical. I don't shit on films that are all CG or in between. I appreciate them all in a different way, and have criticisms and praisals in different ways. But I did appreciate the very much focus on practical effects for this, because it added to the atmosphere, it added to the intensity, and it added to me feeling like I was kind of there with them. And that's what I look for, especially in a horror film, to really draw me in, because a lot of times now when I watch horror, it's more for the fun factor. Yeah, let's kill all these people. Oh, it's a gory movie. Let's see how creatively we can kill people, you know? So watching but I'm not in it. I'm entertained. But with these type of approaches, especially with Conjuring, it pulls me into where I feel something. And once that any film, but especially a horror film, has me in that regard, then I'm in. And it got me in, and I really appreciated it. But with that, and I want to talk about this a little bit more before we transition into the second film, and not just the first film, but all three films, is that there is such a massive degree of convolution with the story. I'm a pretty intelligent guy, you know, and it's tough for me to follow the story, because there's all these characters, it's all in exposition, and it's like, if you don't pay attention to this one mention in this one scene, and then, oh wait, that's actually the ending, and you're like, well, I totally missed that conversation. What are they talking about? So that kind of bothered me, because I'm like, well, is it the witch? Is it a ghost? Is somebody possessed? Like, it's so confusing until they finally just have to tell you at the end. And I'm like, I feel like we could do that a little bit better. And I feel like that definitely happened in the second movie. They literally had to come out and tell you, like, this guy was being used by this crazy demon, but then we're not going to explain this because, haha, money, spinoff. Then we'll tell you about it. And then in the third movie, it was like that too. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So that's my negative criticism of it, is that I just really feel like a lot of the plot and a lot of the story, like from point A to point B, is just convoluted to where I'm like, huh? And I have to like think of, and I'm like, oh, I guess they did say that. So yeah, now we've come full circle. I don't know. It bugged me a little bit. I thought there was a little too much of that in each of the three films.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's the trick to world building, is that sometimes they try to do too much exposition in the first movie.
Yeah.
One of the things that made Marvel such a great film franchise is when you watch, I'm going to be watching the first couple films because, quick little plug, I'm going to be playing Star-Lord in the Roast of Thanos. That'll be on July 11th at 31 West. Anybody interested? Anywho, Newark, Ohio. But anyways.
The town that time forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. So the movies, they weren't trying to piece together a narrative that would eventually be the Infinity Saga. They weren't trying too hard to connect the movies, except just give a little detail saying, hey, for the first time in a very long time, these movies are going to be connected. The first Iron Man, what did we get? We just got Nick Fury at the very end as a post-credit scene. That was it. Hulk. We had Tony Stark show up at the very end. That was it. And then what came after that? Iron Man 2. We got the idea of a team coming together. We don't know it's Avengers. And then the ending of that was they show Thor's hammer in New Mexico. And then they have so little tiny details. We had no way knew that an Avengers movie was slated. We wanted it. We thought it could happen. It was around the time between Thor and Captain America. We knew that the Avengers movie was coming.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We kind of knew it was coming from the beginning, but I don't think people. I think what it was is it was there. They advertised it from the beginning, but I think what it was more specifically was people didn't know if it was going to happen.
That's what I mean. They didn't know. With the issue,
because there were things that had to fall in place in order for us to get there, and luckily and happily, they did fall into place. Right.
And I think this movie was great in the aspect that it gave us Annabelle, but didn't do anything more. Just gave us Annabelle, put her in the universe. Mm-hmm. That was it, and that's why I think the first two Annabelle movies were good. Because of that, debatable. The second one was the best.
We're doing the spin-off films in a different episode.
The point is, they gave us just a little bit. But let's move on to our next movie. Let's work on.
Wait, hold on. I want to finish up real quick with Conjuring.
Finish up.
So I love the Annabelle tease because I'll be honest, when I saw it, I'm like, I want to see that movie. Like before they even talked about doing spinoffs or whatever. As soon as the very beginning, when he's walking, I think the guy's a reporter or a news anchor or something. They're doing a story about them, and he's showing off Annabelle. I'm like, I want to see that movie. Like from the very beginning, I'm like, I want to see that one. So they kind of got you with that, and it was very almost reminded me of Friday the 13th, the series, where they worked in the creepy antique store that had all the cursed and whatever antiques, and then each episode was about a different antique. I kind of felt like that was how their museum and their house was. Like each item was a different case that they worked on, and I thought that was really cool. And I'm like, oh my god, you got 100 movies sitting in here in this room,
right?
Each item's a different movie. And then they did that. They each Conjuring film, it's like, oh, we've got this item, oh, we've got this, it tells the story of that item, which again, I absolutely love that. But the ending of Conjuring, the original one, I thought was cool because we got the big Hollywood elaborate exorcism, and I had my exorcism a couple of years ago, so I try to relate that to this, and I can tell you I did not levitate. There were no demons talking. People didn't get hurt or almost died. Shit wasn't flying around the room.
No contortionist thing,
right? Yeah, I wasn't bending my neck and my back backwards. I mean, I would be dead because I have such a horrible back right now. But I enjoyed that because not only it entertained me, but it's something that I wouldn't normally be entertained by. But because I loved the style of filmmaking so much, and I loved several actors in the film, it pulled me in, and I was in, and I was like, okay, I'm in. So a couple years later, we get The Conjuring 2.
The Enfield.
And this time we go across the pond to London.
Oh, man. To London.
So, it just reminded me of Anchorman. He's like, I'll take you to foggy London town. But anyways.
Anytime I think of Anchorman 2, I think of the Stonewall Jacksons. Release your soul to me.
or Jack Lime. Hey, what are you looking at, guy? Like, I just love that cross room. What are you looking at, guy? He's like, oh, me? Yeah, what are you looking at? So anyways, it's great. So we get to Conjuring 2. So some time has passed, right? And we have a new haunted house story. And this time it's in London, England, which I actually thought was really cool. But one thing right off the bat that I thought was strange was, so the family's getting divorced. And what was it? The dad bought the house for them, but then that's when he dipped out or something?
He dipped out to go live with the woman down the road.
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't even like far away. Like they were still within like walking distance of each other.
I just love that.
So,
he's totally unaware. Like, I guess they're gonna die.
Right? Yeah. And
I'm not gonna go be a hero.
What was strange is that there's plenty of old houses, and look, Europe, has several centuries on, the United States in terms of architecture and dilapidation and things like that. And we'll get to the nun here in a second, because actually, this is my favorite scene. Yeah, this is my favorite scene in the whole movie. I thought it was so well done. But before we get to this, yeah, there you go, Michael. I had the budget exorcism. You're right. Which you can find that on YouTube, by the way, if anybody's interested. Oh, it's on there. So why is it that this house should be condemned? Like, the fucking plaster and paint is peeling off. It's so old. I'm sure that's lead paint, so that can't be good for the kids. The basement is full of water. The basement is literally knee-high worth of water. Like, that would get everybody sick in that house from all the bacteria and the spores and the mold and all that. So I'm just like, I understand it's supposed to be an old house, but no one's living in that house. Like, it's literally falling apart.
It's condemned.
So I thought that was a strange, like, art design for that. I thought it was just a little too over the top with the dilapidated condition of the house, and it obviously distracted me because I'm focusing on that for some reason. But,
just thinking like, man, if you would just knock out that wall, you would open up that kitchen space.
Right. Like, let me knock this down. I'm going to go ahead and repaint over here. We're going to take this plaster down. We're going to put nice drywall up. We're going to do some spray foam on the inside. Nah. We're going to update all the plumbing from terracotta piping to PVC piping, but, yeah, so everybody, our audience by now has to know, and everybody who knows me knows that I tend to focus on the things nobody else focuses on. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. So yeah, I focused on the condition of the house a lot. But let's talk about the nun, because this really was kind of like the Annabelle thing. Like, hey, we're going to give you another teaser about another spinoff, but what we're going to do is we're going to make it the plot driver for this movie and then not fucking explain it to you, so that you have to watch the spinoff, which wasn't very good, and you still really don't totally understand, but that's The Conjuring, so it's cool. But this scene was awesome with the shadow walking around the wall, and then it kind of lines up, because the whole time you think the painting's going to come alive, and it doesn't. Oh, here we go. What's Michael saying?
Yeah, he's talking about it. Why? He's talking about
see, exactly. So, okay, I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one.
Thank you, Michael.
You're not the only one.
Really bothered. I was very distracted by that. But no, so you keep thinking that the painting's going to come alive, and it doesn't. And you get some scary moments, and then all of a sudden you see the shadow walking along the wall, coming up to the painting, and I'm like, oh, here we go. You're like, shit's about to go down now. And then you see the hands come out, and then it just runs right at it. And look, that's very gimmicky, and I'll be first to admit, each film got more and more gimmicky and less grounded, in my opinion. So I liked each film less and less in terms of the first one. And even though this is a total gimmick scene, I really did like it, because I feel like it was just shot so well. I didn't care that this was a gimmick scene. Now, when he's in the water and hands are coming, people are pulling him like that. We've seen this a million times. Come on, guys. We can do better than this. Yeah. This scene, though, again, even though it's still a gimmick, I loved it because it was just shot so well.
What I loved it, and then also while they're at the house before they get to the England house, the nun's name Valak is shown in many scenes before we actually meet her.
Did I totally miss that somewhere then?
Yeah, here, hold on. I'll pull up an image. So
where was that in? You're talking about Ed and Lorraine's house, right? Yeah. Where is Valak? I know she did it in the Bible when she had one of her acid trip hallucination things, but where was it before that? I don't remember.
All right. So here's one. There's a few places. I'm trying to find all of them.
Okay.
I'll just show you one of them.
Do you have one now, or do I need to fill time while you find it?
No. I got one. So okay. I just got to zoom in so you can see.
Man, I love this picture. I'm so about to make this my background for my work computer just to let you know, to freak people out. Like, I'm telling you that, in my opinion, that was the best scene in the whole. I love that scene. I feel like I'm going to go watch it right after this show. I love that scene. It was so well done.
Here it is. So, if you remember that scene right after the Bible, look at
dude, I totally missed that.
And then the beads she was spelling out, Valak.
But why would those be there? What is this alluding to? That she's known this for a longer length of time than the introduction?
Okay, like, that's confusing to me. I would say take this with a grain of salt.
Sure, I mean,
because Annabelle, real quickly, just so you understand James Wan, he likes to put Easter eggs all over his movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Annabelle is in Aquaman, and Annabelle is in Shazam.
Who's in Aquaman?
Annabelle.
What scene?
All right, let's go to it. Give me a second. Give me one.
Oh, okay. If you got to look it up, no big deal.
Oh, well, I could. But basically, this is a James Wan kind of thing. He
does Easter eggs, but
he likes hinting at it. But I just always found that very interesting. So this scene. Yeah. So there's a scene where the tidal wave blows over. Remember when the tidal wave is chasing Aquaman?
Yes.
And okay, everything is underwater, and they're rushing with the camera.
Yeah.
And here it is. Hold on, I'm pulling.
I know the scene.
Yep. Hold on one second. Stop. All right, here, and it was in Shazam at the very beginning with the pawn shop, the doll sitting down.
That I vaguely think I've seen. Oh, dude, I totally missed it. There it is. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He
totally missed it.
He's the type of guy who likes to do that kind of stuff. So, anyways, so we're oh look. So hold on a second. Yep. Great. It was the thought about the Bible.
Yeah, I like I said, I think that's the best scene, and I do think it's cool that his name was there. But now I'm going to go down a rabbit hole tonight because it's like I want to know why he chose him. Was that just because to put him there, or is there something unsaid there to where Valak had something more to do with the family? Because I mean, I've watched The Nun, and they don't really go into any of that. So
he does. It's I think I can mention something from the spinoff because it helps us understand this movie better.
Okay, go ahead. Let's do that. Go ahead.
Valak is attached to Lorraine from the moment at the end of The Nun when they're doing the exorcism on Frenchie. Valak is the one who goes, Ed, how he's going to die. So in the first Conjuring movie, when Ed is talking about how Lorraine locked herself in a room for 3 days after that horrible exorcism.
I thought it was 8 days, but yeah.
8 days or something like that. That's what she saw. So now this movie, the second Conjuring, she is now in a position where she has met the demon who has promised Ed's death. And that's why she's very afraid and she's very scared. So Valak has been in their lives for a very long time. One can even argue
that makes sense.
That Valak drew them to come to England. Now, keep in mind, the Enfield case in real life was proved to be a hoax.
Because didn't the sisters admit to doing it? And if you look at the pictures, you know, they're just pictures of them laying on the ground with like stuff on them, or like the ones of them levitating. You could clearly tell they just jumped off the bed. Now, look, is it possible that they were levitating? Sure. Is it probable? No, because all of the evidence points to you were jumping off your bed or just laying on the ground.
And
So,
this is why I thought this movie, in my opinion, while I did like the second one, don't get me wrong, I liked all these movies, but I think the second one, in my opinion, was weak because they were depending on a case that was obviously fake,
but that people knew about, and they even hit up Amityville in the beginning to like name drop some popular ones to like build that validity.
Yeah, because like I would have rather seen them debunk something. I wouldn't mind seeing the debunking movie where at the end of the day the monsters are the people or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean that would be a very interesting thing. Can it be done? I don't know.
So
Wan is a very interesting person, and here's the reason why I believe James Wan is that talented of a writer. Aquaman for the last 50 years was a joke of a character. Anytime any actor in a TV show is getting a shit role, like, oh, you're going to be Aquaman in the movie. Oh, fuck, I hate that.
Dude, remember Family Guy where the girl's getting attacked and he's like, you better stop doing that. I'm going to have like 4 fish here in a second. They're going to get you. And then there's like little guppies jumping out of the water. He like throws a starfish. He's like, oh, take that, man.
But because James Wan touched that, he made that the top grossing DC live action movie.
Yeah.
So if anybody could have figured it out, I can. So regarding this, that's why while I do like the second movie, I feel like it's disappointed because I felt like it was a step back from the first one.
I agree with that statement 100%. You and I talked about that the other day.
The first one felt real and scary. When the crooked man started attacking the kid, like, I'm the crooked man.
I was out on that. That reminded me of the Babadook. That's what that reminded me of, which... Look, a lot of people love that movie. I didn't really care. There were some cool stuff in it, but overall, I thought it was kind of weak. And that's what that what was he called? The
Crooked Man.
Crooked Man. That's what that reminded me of. It really reminded me of the Babadook, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
So here's my let's go deeper. The whole Valak thing. What's the point of Valak using another ghost against this family just to get Lorraine and Ed to come all the way to Europe when this demon is clearly loose and could just go to their house or what? Like, what? I don't understand the motivation of the demon to bring them all the way over here when I feel like he probably could have just easier killed them in a much better way. I don't know. That's a little convoluted explanation of my question. Hopefully that made sense.
No, it does. That makes a lot of sense. The answer we'll never know on that.
Right. It's a movie. That's the answer.
Yeah.
The movie can happen. That's the answer.
Yeah. Like, why could he pick on a family? Why couldn't Valak pick on a family that was next door or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But no, you connected that dot, which I, for whatever reason, didn't connect. So now that actually makes a whole lot of sense. That makes sense why the name is in the house now. Like all of that makes a lot more sense. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, Quentin Tarantino always says that, there's at least one thing in every film that you find positive or that you like or whatnot. And I'll say, dude, that scene with the Valak painting, I loved. Dude, Ed and Lorraine on it as always. I love them together and how much they're in love and coupley they are and how they save each other constantly, but they still care about each other. I loved all of that. But I feel like it went more gimmicky for the sake of doing it gimmickly instead of saying, okay, we're going to do a gimmick, but we're going to shoot it differently so it's really badass. I didn't really get a lot of that in The Conjuring 2, other than those couple of scenes I've already mentioned. What do you say to that?
I agree with you. I mean, like I said, they retreaded over things that have been done before, but the first movie did that too. But the first movie, it was shot differently. It was shot with a certain intensity.
Yeah.
Watching and it was boosted by the performance. Lily Taylor, in my opinion, is the most underrated horror actress out there.
I agree.
Because, there's a movie called Leatherface. It's the origin story of Leatherface. And
not a very good movie though, but
she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. And most of those reboot Chainsaw Massacre ones were good. The one I really hated was the Texas Chainsaw 3D, the one that the cousin had Leatherface locked up in the basement. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Who made this movie? But the other ones I actually did enjoy. I'll admit I enjoyed all of them but that one.
Yeah, I liked it, but there were a lot of problems with it because technically they should have all been like 40.
Right? Yeah. It's like, why are these people in their 20s? Like, what's happening here?
Like, why do you have a smartphone? You're 20. by that logic, we should be in the 90s right now.
Right.
Right. I digress. Let's go to the comments section real quick. You want to debunk? Watch any Scooby-Doo movie. There you go.
I mean, Chuck, you nailed it. Like, why can't we just like pull the sheet off of Valak's head, right? And the mom, Michael. Oh my God! Like all the screaming. Like I think half of that movie was just people screaming. Like, oh man. But anyway, so let's close out Conjuring 2. I know it's been a disjointed conversation, but just to try to stay on task. But I think the feeling is mutual between you and I that we agree that there were things about it we liked, but it wasn't as strong as the original. And we didn't feel the same way about it as we did the original. Would that be an accurate statement?
I feel the same way. Is it I felt it was still an enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. I felt entertained.
It didn't have that same tenacity that the first one had.
It did not. Yes, it just didn't. But man, I'm telling you, Patrick Wilson was on fucking point in that movie, man. I'm telling you, not one scene was flubbed by him. Not one. Yep. So there you go.
All right, so let's jump over to our next segment.
Yeah. Here we go.
Do it.
Literally just got done watching this movie right before the show started.
So this movie, you and I are on opposite sides.
Yeah, we are, because I hated it. I'm not going to lie. I was just like, what the hell is happening in this movie?
I didn't think it was a perfect movie. I liked it because like I think I liked it because I knew what they were going to do before. And I was like, oh, God, don't do it. They were using that fucking werewolf from Annabelle 3. They were using Annabelle 3 to tease the werewolf. Like, oh, you think people are going to like the werewolf? And nobody fucking liked the werewolf.
Nobody liked the werewolf.
No one. I think so. So for me,
great statement. Oh my God.
So for me, I was there like, oh, we're not doing the werewolf. I'm like, oh, fucking thank God you're not doing the werewolf. Thank God.
Oh, we're so glad.
What are you doing? Possession? Great. I don't give a shit. Go for it. Just don't.
Well, I mean, but we kicked up Possession to the next level, Jesse, because we really just ripped off all Evil Dead in this movie. We had deadites moving around. We had a guy get possessed and then got unpossessed by a woman telling him that everything was okay and bringing it back out of him. I'm just like, what the hell is happening here? But again, Patrick Wilson, you know, when they put that mallet in his hand and he was just basically acting out the final act of The Shining, okay. I was like, all right, cool.
I let that go.
He even had a coat on and a flannel shirt and everything. I'm like, what are we? How many movies are we going to rip off in this thing? Like,
in that case, they took the book off because it was a mallet in the book.
Well, but remember though, after the Kubrick film, they shot the two movie.
I own them.
Like what are they? The miniseries with the guy from Wings.
I own them. I watched it.
And they did stay a lot more faithful to the book in that, including the book ending.
King wrote the script to that and won an Emmy.
Yeah, so you know it's very much The Shining in there. Like I said, there was Evil Dead in there. There was all the haunted house cliches in there. It didn't really bring anything new to impress me, and I'm not saying they have to, because if something's not broke, don't fix it. But again, it felt gimmicky. And then we're on this chase of, okay, well, we're chasing down, spoilers for Conjuring 3, by the way, here we go. So we're going to get into it. So we're chasing down these people that had curses on them, but then they have absolutely nothing to do with the plot at the end. And then I don't even know why that old priest that killed that cult was keeping his daughter in the basement, who was then doing all this witchcraft. And I'm just like, this is just, this shit is just out of control. Like it was way too much to like try to focus on and like really understand what was happening. And so because I was so distracted, I really just stopped caring. But again, Patrick Wilson kept me into it because phenomenal performance as always. So yeah, I just, man, I did not like this movie at all.
But when they go into the basement, I actually heard the line go, "Let's go down there and carve us a witch."
Yeah.
I thought about that a lot. But I think this movie, and that might have hurt it, they did a lot of homaging. like the exorcism at the beginning when the guy gets out of the cab in front of the house. I mean, they may as well have just played the music.
Yeah, exactly. And have the beam of light coming down and everything. Like, yeah, absolutely.
So I'll admit that they did get campy at times, but I do appreciate where they're going to go with the franchise now, because now they're going to go into the later stories where Ed is more debilitated and Lorraine works with the cops a lot more.
So I wonder if we're going to get into the whole underage side piece affair Ed had in the same house he and his wife lived in. So that'll be interesting to see if they put that in the film. I hope they do. But something tells me they're not going to go there. So
yeah, it was like, what's happening? Be cool.
Yeah, just go with it, man.
Cool. Oh shit, Valak possessed me again.
But you know, and again, there were things that I liked. Again, the movie was shot beautifully. It was framed beautifully. Everybody was where they need to be. Everybody delivered their lines well. When cult killing ex-priest got his throat slashed by his daughter, that was dope. That was easily one of the best scenes in the movie because it was just raw. Yeah. And you know, like when she slashes his throat, he can't do anything, so she takes her hand and like puts it under his chin and like slowly lets him down as he's dying. I'm like, oh my God, how deep is that for a daughter to kill her dad, but then care enough that he doesn't just flop over, you know, to like let him die gently. I'm like, oh, that's deep. Okay. So I kind of got down on that. I didn't see that coming. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, this movie had, for me, like I said, I was happy they went in. They're trying to do something different. Because
I get that. And I do support that.
Yeah. It wasn't a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll agree.
It wasn't. I mean, but I love it. So I think the first one will always be my favorite.
Yes.
It will always be my favorite. But I want to jump into the comment section.
Oh, we got someone here.
Somebody's getting in trouble. Yeah, he's had trouble for the kill the kid comment.
Oh, be careful, Michael. We don't want you to get in Facebook jail here.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. What's Ryan saying here?
Oh, yeah, they tried to tie it in with the cult.
Oh, did I miss that too? I feel like I missed a ton of shit then. When did they tie that in?
The first movie, the cult that kills and all that stuff, that was in Annabelle.
Oh, see, look, dots connected. I didn't know that. Okay.
Point that out to me, because at one point I was like, Sarah, I know the Ram cult. I know the Ram cult. Where do I know it from? And she's like, it's the first Annabelle movie.
Look, see, your wife is like, man, she has it every time. When the down, Sarah's there, and she's got it every time. The answer, boom.
She read the biography. She's read everything, so she knows a lot.
My wife reads a lot too. She's reading The Demonologist. I think it's either an autobiography or maybe it's written by Ed and Lorraine. I don't know. She's reading it right now and said it was really good. So,
I imagine their exploits are amazing. The blonde girl from Annabelle was possessed. Yep.
Well, in the beginning, like, hey, Sarah.
He knows. What was
Demonologist was written by a writer with Ed and Lorraine.
There you have it.
That's the one my wife's reading, though. She's actively reading that right now.
It's good. It's one of their better books.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't read the one, or tell her not to read the one that they wrote about the haunting in Connecticut. It's shit.
Wait. That was a movie, wasn't it? With the eyelids and shit. Yeah, I kind of liked that movie. I thought it was okay.
The movie is good. The book is just so out there. When you do more research into that case, it's possibly a hoax.
I think I saw somewhere where that people were saying that.
It's similar to Amityville, where the family just wanted to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what happens in these situations. So
yeah,
I'll go away now.
No, look at that. Sarah coming in at the clutch moment of the show with the knowledge drop. That was perfect.
I didn't plan this.
Ride or die. Okay. I love it.
Well, I'm glad that you were here to kind of fill that in for us. That was great.
Well, let's ask her a quick question.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
What about Ed's side piece? The one girl?
I'm not doing that.
What about her?
That means that she knows, though.
She gonna show up?
If they go into the 90s.
All right, the 90s. Here we go.
What was this one? Was 81, the year of my birth? So maybe we'll get into the 90s in the next one.
Gonna get a little weird here.
I think it was like.
Oh shit! I was possessed again, Lorraine.
It was phallic. He made me do it.
The shit thing is, people are saying Lorraine knew about the side piece and was just like cool with it.
I mean, that's kind of the impression I got when I went down that rabbit hole a couple nights ago, actually.
Yeah, it makes me sad, so I just ignore it.
I mean, this is why you never meet your heroes. Perfect example.
There it is.
Demon hunters are your heroes.
You put light on that for us because we were wondering that, and I wasn't sure if the show's gonna have closure on that, but
like it's not a mainstream thing.
Well, it could be.
It could be.
I didn't learn about it until like last year.
Yeah.
And The Conjuring's been out since like 2013.
You never know. Maybe that chick from Annabelle 3 where she's like, I'm sorry I went through your stuff, and he was like, fuck around, see what happens. Don't give me the guitar. maybe that girl becomes a side piece when she comes of age.
I mean, I think you just wrote the script for the fourth Conjuring movie, Jesse.
Yeah. You're friends with my daughter? I don't have a daughter. It's like, yeah, you do it, Judy. Oh, fuck, you're right. I am a kid. God damn it. Like, there's times where I wonder if she walked into the room and
oh, man.
He just goes, Jesus, fuck.
I think that might be the comment of the night.
It's a valid concern, especially since like the Warrens left their museum to her husband, not to her.
Oh yeah.
Like,
now that I didn't know.
Her husband. So they did. Annabelle was on an episode of Ghost Adventures.
Because isn't she normally like a Raggedy Ann doll or something? The real Annabelle.
Yeah, she's a Raggedy Ann doll. And when they did this episode, they talked about how the museum, which is now closed, is all in like the husband's name. Annabelle is taken care of by the husband. Like no mention of Judy, just the husband.
He got all that shit he wanted and was like, all mine now. I got all the treasures.
You see this clown toy? It killed 29 kids.
Right. I'm about to unleash this on this small town. Have fun with that, kids.
You know how much Exhibit A I got in this back room?
How much Exhibit A I have in this back room? That was beautiful. Well said, Jason. That was great.
A room full of Exhibit A's. Holy shit. Some of it, and then I love, and real quickly, and this is seen in the third movie, because in Annabelle Comes Home, the little light projector thing gets possessed by Annabelle.
Yeah.
And when you watch the third movie, the light projector's in the house.
Like, he took his daughter's nightlight for no reason. Like, he wasn't possessed or anything in the movie. It literally just falls.
Yeah.
Well, Judy doesn't need a nightlight.
Yeah. Boy.
Like, that fucker couldn't care less.
Oh, man.
Awful.
We've got to have Sarah join the show more often. She killed it tonight. She was the star.
Thank you. She came in on the clutch.
Absolutely.
She'll have to join us.
Can I trash The Nun?
Oh, yeah, he doesn't like The Nun either.
That movie's a piece of shit.
I mean, okay, you brought it up, so I'm going to say it. Okay. We're going to talk about we're going to do another show for just the spin-off films. But any movie where literally the catalyst for saving the day is a vial of Jesus blood, guys, I'm out. Like, you lost me, okay? Like, what the fuck just happened here? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I don't want to get into it. The ending, me and her were discussing it. There's a part that doesn't make sense at all.
I don't think half of that movie made sense.
Like, the entire movie is just whatever.
And who lived again? That church was more dilapidated than that house in London, and there were proactively people living in there. It's like, dude, your throne room has weeds in it, and you live here. Like, there's a problem with this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting movie, and like I said, that movie was one of those heavily reshot films because
was it? I didn't know that.
James Wan did the reshoots. If that tells you anything.
Yeah. Kind of the same way how Carpenter did the reshoots for Halloween 2.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I get that now, but yeah, I don't think anything could have saved that film. Patrick Wilson could have been the lead in it, and he would have saved it.
He would. But going right into that, and this will be the last thing I'll say about The Nun, that The Nun was scarier in The Conjuring 2, but wasn't scary in her own movie. And that's what made her. So that's why when they start introducing characters in these next Conjuring movies, I'm like,
right, like oh my god, more characters. Neat.
I was like, you better not make a Crooked Man movie.
No.
It's stuck in developmental hell, and I hope it stays there.
Ever get it? Maybe James Wan is like actively like damaging it and sabotaging it. We can only hope.
Well, thank God the Conjuring 3 wasn't about the fucking werewolf. At least that we got that gift from God.
Look, The Conjuring 4 can be about the team up of the Slender Man and the werewolf. There you go. There's The Conjuring 4. Let's do a team up movie.
Do a team up movie. That would be
kill the Warrens. We got to team up the bad guys to kill the Warrens, and then bad guys win at the end. There it is.
Okay, just kill Ed. Don't
two
kill
movie
franchise.
Two movies. Here it is. Two movies right here. So the first movie, it's about a demon who's gathering up these 6 totems in order to defeat the Warrens.
This sounds like the plot to the 2016 Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah. No, you'll love this. It's not that plot. If you listen, you'll know it's not that plot. And then at the end of the movie, they succeed and they snap the Warrens out of existence. And now it's up to Judy, who we don't know if is alive at this point.
She might have died. I don't know.
The priest from Annabelle, if he's still alive, I don't know if he is. Still alive.
He's still alive.
The one from La Llorona, him too. Yeah. Is he alive?
Yeah.
They form a team and they do a time heist.
I love it, man. And there's got to be a sky beam somewhere in this movie, and you've got me. You've got me.
It would work because if Judy sabotages it the whole time because her life is better without her parents.
Oh, there it is. There it is. But then Patrick Wilson comes from the grave and turns into a demon himself and haunts that fucking house.
I'd watch that.
That's what we gotta do. That's how so basically, there you go, James Wan. We made you.
I think we just evolved this for the next 20 years. They can just keep making these movies now.
Here's how you make this many sequels.
Right.
Take a page from the Fast and the Furious.
No.
Yep.
The Fast and the Furious in the 5th movie, they said, "Fuck it, we're not gonna jump the shark by accident. We're doing it today."
We're gonna drive around with a safe on a chain and use it as a wrecking ball.
And guess what?
Great idea. Let's do it.
And it worked because here's the reason why. When I heard that they were probably going to go to space in the 9th movie, it didn't faze me. I was like,
I was just like, let's do it. I'm ready. Like, are you hopping a ride on a SpaceX? Or are we going up with NASA? Like, how are we getting to space here?
I'm letting Tyrese duct tape around his neck. I'm like, sounds like that makes sense. Legit. Legit. Like, that's the brilliance of Fast and Furious. They jumped the shark. That watching a guy make a duct tape helmet to go into space didn't bother me one bit. I was like, that sounds plausible. Do it. And the previous movie, they fought a nuclear Russian warhead sub with 8 cars.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me.
And now this episode has officially jumped the shark. So let's close this thing out.
Exactly. That's why we have to make 2 Conjuring, 2 Furious. Conjuring Tokyo Drift.
No.
Hold on. I got to get my whole franchise out. Conjuring 7. That's it.
I just want to get to a round number like 15. Like The Conjuring 15, everybody's dead. Like, that's it.
The Conjuring 15. Fuck you, because you've already watched 14 of these.
Right. This is 90 minutes of the monsters standing there doing scary things. Here you go.
Ooh. I'll get one off in 3 months. Fuck you. And then the next monster goes onto the screen.
Oh, man. All right, Jesse, let's close this thing out. How do we start? Yeah, our little rant there. So just wrapping this up, The Conjuring, we do appreciate the franchise. They reinvented a lot of things. They made things fun again. They really pulled you in with the focus on the practical effects and the way it was shot, how the scenes were structured, the lighting, taking normal gimmicks and making them into something that actually meant something. But in my opinion, each movie kind of went down as it went, and the third one, I still don't hate it as much as Hereditary, but I still didn't like it. So, look, that's the benchmark I compare everything to. I fucking hated Hereditary. I don't care what anybody says. If you like it, that's awesome. I appreciate that, but I hate it. So.
I see you and I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you. I see you. I respect it. We'll have a conversation about it, but I fucking hated that movie. So.
Well, yeah. But anyways, that's all our time. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Talking to the Conjuring Trilogy. I want to give it up for Ryan, Michael, Shep, and am I missing anybody? Chris. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us. Make sure.
Real quick, big shout out to Sarah, your wife, for joining the show.
I was going to save her for last.
Okay, my bad. I jumped it.
I will jump the shark now. Let's give it up for Sarah for coming in on the clutch and answering questions we needed. Because it would have been just me fiddling at the keyboard going, what the hell was Ram again?
Right. Next time, just have me be on the podcast.
We will. We'll just have you on.
Spin-offs are going to be here. Make sure, like I said, like and subscribe to our page on YouTube. We'll be on tomorrow we'll be early in the morning. I'm going to get working on that right now. I got to get working on it quickly because here's another cool thing. Me and Sarah, we're moving, people. We're moving. We're going to go to a new house. This technically, believe it or not, where I live right now is technically haunted. So that was kind of cool that my last show in this building is the Conjuring episode, and it's a haunted building at the same time. So I thought that was a very cool little thing. I just wanted to point that out.
I hope a ghost fucks with you today.
I hope it does too. Well, anyways, we'll be back next Wednesday. What is our next show? I'm going to look it up real fast. We have a ton of shows planned on our website. Oh God, what is it? I'm very
next one is our 4th of July spectacular.
4th of July spectacular. So
yeah. that'll be next Wednesday, which is July 1st. No, that's June 30th. So last year we did a whole bunch of fun videos about people doing fireworks accidents and, explosions and America songs and all of that. And I'm going to be honest, we're probably going to do that again because it's 4th of July. It's all about America and blowing shit up and getting drunk. And that's what our show is going to be about for our 4th of July spectacular. But now that we had the show last year and we're having it again this year, it is now our annual 4th of July spectacular. So we're really excited about that to now have an annual segmented show. So we're really excited for that.
Very excited. So make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you again for everybody tuning in. And like I said, catch us next week, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Jesse.
And I'm John.
And you've been sitting at the grown-ups table. Thank you and have an awesome night, everybody. Take it easy.
Night, everyone.